Hey, let's talk about Spawn. There's so much to talk about on
I told him to surprise me.
And yeah, because you're thinking like, oh, I gotta do like a big reaction for it. Like, Spawn, what the fuck do
That's really my only reaction, just fucking Spawn. I remember there was so much hype for that movie. Like,
was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Well, at least in my school. I don't know about yours. I mean, I was in high school, but I did. But see, a lot of this was like very beginning of internet. So I'm not talking about like internet hype. I'm just talking about at my school where it was like, oh my god, let's go fucking see Spawn. And then like a couple days later, like what was our internet of the day, which was just our classmates, like kind of coming in and like telling us what it was about, and it just, the reviews were trickling into class, and it was just like,
yeah.
There were a couple people like, oh, it was pretty cool. It was pretty. I mean, a lot of it was just. I don't know.
When I saw it, I really, because I think it was after Batman Forever, and I kind of drank the Kool-Aid because I had like the huge man crush on Jim Carrey, like every little boy did. And when
he insisted Batman Forever was the best.
Oh, as soon as it came out, I was like totally drank the Kool-Aid.
Better than Batman. It's better than
the best. You could have had Jim Carrey just shit into a bucket in a Riddler suit. I'd be like, it's amazing, best Batman ever. Cause yeah, I was like every little kid
smells like ham.
But even I was like, you know, it'd be nice to see something actually kind of dark again. And Spawn, it looked really cool. You know, especially the design of these, of Spawn and the clown and everything. The
trailer helped. The trailer was one of those trailers that it tricked you.
Yeah, it
like,
looked legitimately
the trailer
cool.
looked better, and then when you actually sit through the movie, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and what sucked is that they got the people, and I brought this up in the review, but they got the people who did Walking Dead, Evil Dead. I mean, that phenomenal team.
What's that, K&B or
I don't know.
I don't know all that. I know one was like Greg Nicotero.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
Yeah, that team though, that's amazing.
They're phenomenal, and they do this movie, and you know, because now they're talking about doing another film, which is a good idea. The other film's not very good, but you know, it's not going to look as good as that movie. At least the clown and Spawn are not going to look as good.
Okay, the practical effects.
Yeah. No.
Let's distinguish it. He's talking about the practical effects.
Oh, no. The CG is like... I mean, you just see it, so you're like, fucking shame on you.
Sorry, I could just see like the fanboys now, like just hands ready, like shing, before I'm like practical. Oh, because like the CGI effects suck.
They suck hard. The
CGI effects will definitely be better in the new one.
The only thing I give a little bit of a pass on is the cape, because it's like, how do you do that cape without going CG? And granted, it clearly doesn't look like it's there, but it looks like the comic, so it's like, okay, alright. And the funny thing is, the
cape to me was the least offensive effect in the movie.
Yeah, because at least it kind of looked cool.
When it came to the CGI.
But it looked cool.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's a cartoon, but there really was no other way to do it. You could have hand animated it. That would have. I'm not convinced it would have. Then it would have been like Roger Rabbit. That wouldn't look good either. I don't know how you would have done that as a practical effect. So I give the cape a pass.
But I mean, the biggest one that I didn't notice until I was actually editing is when he's looking at this little. He's in the graveyard. He's looking at something that's supposed to be glowing, and they actually cropped the top when they were moving with it. And I couldn't believe that. Like, so you see it shining, and then just it stops at this flat line, you know. And I'm just like, oh my god. Like, even I don't make that mistake, and I make a lot of effects mistakes.
Well, and that sort of satanic devil Beelzebub creature, or whoever that's asking Spawn to build the army for him. You have K&B, and you have these guys who did the Evil Dead, and you went with that CGI thing?
Okay, a fan got me a few Spawn comics, because I've seen bits of Spawn, but I haven't, like, actually read up or anything. So I started kind of looking through them, and, of course not reading it in order, but, you know, I was just sort of glancing through and everything, you know, trying to follow, and it's like, the artwork's amazing, but it's very hard to bring to life. I mean, like, you look at that clown, and it's like, it's amazing what they did, because they even had, like, the crazy teeth, where there's, like, 1,000,000 in one little line and stuff, and it's amazing what they did, and I finally saw what the devil looked like, and the devil really does not transfer well into real life because he's supposed to look kind of cartoony. And they tried to do it with that CG abomination. And I'm with you. Of all the times you could have used these guys, these phenomenal
they're
guys,
masters
it's the devil.
Yeah, they're masters at doing that, though. Think of the Evil Dead 2 and the cartoony Deadites, you know.
Yeah.
And the clown. It's like they're masters of doing that, and it's fucking the... Oh, it's not even like there were, like, video game, like, there were CD-ROM games with better CGI than in Spawn. I mean, it was just an embarrassment.
Well, and what they did too, because again, I mean, now that I do, you know, very cheapo effects, but still effects, I'm catching on to how they do a lot of this stuff. Like, they have all these little spawns going, rah, rah, doing the weird things that they do. Clearly didn't have the rendering time, so they just took it with the glitches and stuff. And then, like, to make it look like it was more three-dimensional, they take a layer of spawns going, rah, rah, and they would just get it closer to the screen, but it wasn't shot that way. So they look really pixely and really blurry up here when they're flying by, and it just looks like funny bad. It's like bad CD-ROM bad. And
it looks like a Nintendo 64 character.
Yeah. And the funny thing too is that you were talking about the trailer. The trailer for this movie is really good.
I was psyched from the trailer.
I'm watching it, and I just remember like what they showed. If the movie followed the same order and direction that the trailer did, it would have been fine because it's like he used to be an assassin, but he died. You know, it shows him die, and he went to hell, but he was given a second chance. Now, one lone teacher will train him and bring him back to the world. And it's like, it's the training scene, it's Merlin. Yeah, and then Merlin comes in, and he's like, but like, Merlin doesn't teach him until like the last third, and even then, it's one trick. Suddenly he's a Jedi Master after that. Clearly they must have cut it or something.
At least 20 minutes with a lightsaber and a flying wiffle ball.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Or a little
But that is bad when A New Hope gives you, like, more than, like, A New Hope and Force Awakens put together would give you more than, you know.
But here's the thing, too. You're at least kind of figuring that, like, you know, I always kind of thought he was teaching him a little bit more on the side or something like that, you know, like when they're on the ship and the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that, he's like showing him a little bit.
Still only known him for like, 3 days?
Oh no, not much, but you know, still a little bit tight. This is literally a trick. One trick, and that's it.
And there's no force. Like, because that's always the stock excuse, it's the force, which I'm like, okay, I'm willing to accept that. And I just gotta apply it to all the movies, but
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like just if it's like a cliche thing or a movie thing or a guy thing or whatever. I love training montages. I love training scenes. I love all that stuff. So you get so excited when that... No, I love that shit. I love it. And it is such a letdown when it's like finally waited through the whole movie to get to this scene, and here we are with a great fucking actor, that guy, you know, the guy that I just call him Merlin because I forget his real name.
Nicole Williams.
Yeah, but he's phenomenal, and he played Sherlock Holmes, he played Merlin, he's all these great characters, and here he is, and he's about to do the training.
We call him, you know why we're called, because Excalibur is an amazing movie, and you should see it.
Yes. No,
if you didn't grow up in the 80s and you missed it, go watch it. But because it is the same character. Like, it just feels like that Merlin character from Excalibur.
Yeah, except with no sense of humor. Until the end, he gets a little bit of sense of humor. But even then, he's like, alright, yeah, overstuffed gecko. It's like, haha.
And he tries so hard to sell it, but that intro where it's just like, and now I will begin with a giant plot dump a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a bunch of stuff happened, yeah, we're gonna show you in the credits, and it just...
My guess is that, because even reading the comic...
My guess is that was a last-minute insert, because people are like, oh...
Yeah.
The studio notes probably said people will be confused.
Yeah, so they throw in even more stuff to make it even more confusing.
Yeah, the irony of it is I ended up just being more confused.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what the hell is all this?
And when they, because I'm looking through the comic, and it's not very coherent, like, it jumps around a lot, like, to different time periods, even different characters and stuff, like, it'll just sort of ignore Spawn.
Do that, though.
And that is kind of what they do.
Format.
Yeah, and it looked like the guy who created it, you know, definitely had, like, some input on this movie. It wasn't like they just took it away, he had no input. Like, he definitely had a little input. But how much, it's sounding like not too much, but it was definitely there. And I am kind of wondering if, like, you know, maybe he thought, well, I'll just do this like the comic, because this is how a storytelling mind works. It works like a comic, where you can jump around. And there's so many stories and continuities and stuff like that, and different timelines, because that's another thing with comics. They don't usually go start to finish. Because you create other characters. Where do they come from? Well, you have to go back to the past in this scene with this character when they met that character. Remember that 5 issues ago? And that's comics. In a movie, you gotta follow it, and this should be like the easiest thing to follow. Guy dies, goes to hell, gives second chance, breaks loose, says, I don't want to fight for hell, and then they try to get him back. I mean, that's basically it. So why is that hard to follow? Why do they make it so complicated and crazy? I'm just sad that John Leguizamo is stuck in that goddamn suit, giving it his all.
You've been violated, girly man.
Clearly giving it his all, trying to be funny, trying to be entertaining. At times he kind of is.
I do remember that the reviews at the time, and even back in school, everyone was like, that fucking clown, man, that clown was awesome. And then it was like, what about the rest of the movie? Was there a rest of the movie?
I always, that seems like a guy who, he has... At first I didn't know if he had talent because he was just in so many bad things, and it seemed like he was trying to Johnny Depp it, where he's trying to go through such crazy characters.
Yes, but he was Johnny Depping it before Johnny Depp did.
No, Johnny Depp was Johnny Depping it before he was Johnny Depping it.
Yeah, but it was a very slow...
and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that was a slow process. I think of Ed Wood, and I think of Edward Scissorhands, and it's...
No, it's pretty quick. As soon as he did movies, he's like, I'm kooky, I'm Edward Scissorhands, I'm
Yeah, but
Edward.
I feel like what we consider the quintessential Johnny Depp roles is a post-Pirates of the Caribbean thing. Like, before that, you could still see him doing normal shit. Like, because you had Edward Scissorhands and you had Ed Wood... And you had, like, Sleepy Hollow. It's basically just the 3 Burton films.
No, he was doing other Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Okay, Fear and Loathing, which would have been... Okay, so there's one. There's... I don't know. I still feel like John Leguizamo was throwing it, like, from the get-go.
Well, like, he tried to do... I remember he tried to do a sketch show that everybody was really excited for. It just didn't work. You know, we kind of wanted it to work, but it really didn't work. And I think from there that always... And they tried those horrible comedies like The Pest and stuff. And I think he kind of said, you know, instead of just going pure comedy, I'm going to go, again, kind of what Depp is doing, where it's kind of like half funny, but half kind of weird and edgy and kind of odd. And that seems to have, for the most part, worked for him. But yeah, a lot of them are still bad movies, sadly. But I've opened up to, like, you know, he's a legitimately good actor. Like, he can, even in The Happening, where he has to say all those terrible lines, he's giving it his all, and he's actually like, man, if what you said makes sense, I would really buy this.
I still believed him as Luigi.
Mario, you brought me up.
Like my brother, my father, my sister,
my mother,
my daughter, my sister, my daughter.
So, yeah.
You know, can we talk about Martin Sheen's assistant there, her outfit?
Actually, can we talk about Martin Sheen for a second? Every time he talks like that. Yeah, it's like he wants to be Patton or
I would like to think that this is the Donald Trump version of his president on the West Wing. Like, this is some bizarro version world of the West Wing president.
Where he has, like, pictures of explosions and scorpions and spiders, and it's like, I can trust this guy.
I'm so used to that southern accent he has. At the hair I'm shouting, I'm just like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, and then, like, just that weird time where it was like...
But I mean, I'll give him this. It's like he realizes this is garbage.
No, but...
He's like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Well, you were saying about the assassin. Yeah, there was that weird time where it was kind of like, you know, with On a Top and GoldenEye, though there it worked. But, like, everybody was trying to be On a Top. Everybody was trying to be like, you know, the sexy
Don't you want
assassin.
to be on a top? It's not just the sexiest. Okay, see, like, in GoldenEye it works, because the Bond films have their own silly reality.
Yeah.
There was just something about this where I'm just like, when people talk about the silliness of, like, just throwing some chicken with a giant cleavage that's supposed to fight, like... For some reason, this one in particular, I'm like, man, this is the poster child for that. Yeah. It doesn't bother me in X-Men much, but like, there are other, like, comic books where it doesn't bother me, but there's just something about her where I'm just like, this is so impractical. Why would an assassin just have an outfit like this? And it looked like it was made out of, like, licorice Twizzlers. Well, it looked like black licorice. I'm like, where did you get this outfit? What does this have to do with anything? Like, it just... I don't know, it was one of the rare times where, like, one of those, like, silly, sexy... like assassin outfits stood out as I'm like, that's just fucking ridiculous.
You know what it is? Because all the other times they did it, there was an extra something to them. Like, you know, you talk about X-Men, you know, Mystique, she's a mutant, she's covered in blue, she can shapeshift, she can turn all these things. Onatopp, she's horny as hell, she's shooting guns going,
well, it was part of her personality.
And she kills people with her legs and stuff like that. You know, there's all these weird things that they throw on top of it.
It felt incorporated in somehow. This just felt like, and just put some Broadway cleavage in her, you know.
Yeah, and give her some guns.
Yeah, and give her some guns.
Dark lipstick, like, there you go.
It was just like, there was no thought put into this at all. Whereas, like, at least you could see a love of character design, because I'm like, I normally actually don't have a problem with it.
Well, there was,
I don't get involved in all of that, you know, because for one thing, for me, I'm just like, as a guy, I'm like, you look at, like, Thor and half these superheroes, I'm like, I feel really inadequate.
Let's put on 300. Oh, I should go to the gym.
But there are times when it is so blatant and so fucking obnoxious, and I'm like, wow, I can't defend this. This is just lazy. And like, this is one of those things where I'm like, this is just fucking lazy.
It's blatant, but it's boring too.
Yeah, it's also boring.
I think that's the thing, is that she's like every stock badass assassin woman in a tight outfit with a gun, and there's like nothing else interesting about her.
Here's the thing, when you do that sort of thing, like in a Soul Calibur game or something, or in a comic book movie, if someone has like a sexy outfit that's supposed to look badass, I should sit there and I'd be like, badass.
Yeah.
If I laugh when they come out, which is exactly what I did in Spawn, I just really was like, what the fuck? Then you failed.
Yeah, I think
like I should be wrapped up into it enough that I'm just like, all right, rock on.
Well, I think that's something that the Marvel movies do, you know, very well, is that they, you know, because I kept saying every time another one of these movies was coming out in the, you know, days when the MCU was just starting, I was like, okay, well, you did hope, but you can't do Thor. That's gonna be ridiculous and stuff. And they really incorporated it. It was badass. Okay, but what you're doing Captain America now, you can't. With the little wings, you can't do it.
Yeah,
and they incorporated it. They were so smart in how they worked it in.
Even in...
It was still silly, but they were
something
very
as
smart.
Silly as Batman and Robin. I didn't really question Poison Ivy's outfit, because it seems part of her person...
Well, she's part of that world.
Yeah, Catwoman, like, so even in like the DC universe, it doesn't really bother me, but occasionally there's this one where it's like, this just bugged me. It's just like, wow, you just didn't even... It's just like, you could just read the studio notes, put some babe in a skin-tight outfit. Like, and I'm just like, just no thought process
just
put into
tits!
Yeah.
Nothing else, just tits!
Giant exclamation points.
Which, yeah, I'm with you. If you're gonna do that thing, superheroes, everything, you know, I get it. It's going to be an exaggeration of what we all want to be, and with the men, it's going to be super huge muscles, like beyond impractical. With the women, it's going to be super, super sleek, but somehow super strong at the same time.
You know what it is? It
doesn't look like they could pick up a pen, but it's like, you get comic books, whatever.
It's the Wizard of Oz effect. If you make me forget that that's probably the real reason behind it, then you've done your job. Yeah, but if I can see, it's like seeing the man behind the curtain. If I can just see the studio note that says tits, like, and that's the only reason that's there, that bothers me. Like, you know, or come up with a better costume design or something. It wasn't just the fact that it was like all booby McCleavage. It's just, it was such a ridiculous looking outfit. I was like, this isn't even good costume design. It's just silly. This looks like she's wrapped in Twizzlers.
You know, that guy, the guy who plays Spawn, who, I guess I'm not super shocked he didn't go anywhere, because, like, well, I'm sure he's, like, acting, and he's acting fine, but, you know, I really feel like you need a guy to do this role that's, like, really gonna leave an impact on you, because there's so little that the rest of this movie can do outside of the makeup and the costumes.
Can we just say it out loud? This just needed Wesley Snipes. Because Blade, like, when I saw Blade, I'm like, oh, so this is what Spawn would have been like if it was done right.
That movie's so awesome. I still love that movie.
Except for Stephen Dorff. Fuck it.
Oh, you're so wrong. So wrong. He was so much fun.
I hate Stephen Dorff as a person, but that character just...
These people are food.
There are food. Let me do my
I love
his entire performance is just looking at Blade and the other, like, higher up vampires just going,
No, it's... God, you gotta master your Dorff.
Oh, God. I just... How did that, like, when that one dude's like, dude, we're gonna be gods. I'm like, how did these fuckers take over anything? These are the lamest villains in a comic book movie.
To be fair,
outside of, like, fucking Superman 4.
To be fair, they're not very good vampires. I think we established
that. Bothers me because Blade is awesome and he should have a villain that's equally awesome, and instead we got Steven Dorff.
So wrong. He doesn't mean it's Steven Dorff. I know you watch these. But
I don't hate you as a person, Steven Dorff. I hate your fucking character.
But I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and then like the ending where it's like, again, they're just throwing all this shit at you, all this craziness, and then it's
I felt like it just kept going.
Yeah, and there's like
I felt like
5 surprise endings that you kind of don't even know are supposed to be surprise. Half of them you can guess, the others don't make sense.
You know, you can tell like where the budget cuts were happening. Because we're gonna have our epic climax in the living room, next to the fireplace. I'm like, really? Like.
They send the clown when he turns into a gremlin, who of course doesn't talk, he just goes rah, because that's what happens when you turn into a big monster. And they go into hell.
You ate after midnight, girly man.
I love how it's like they go and he's like trying to destroy Spawn and everything, and it's like, only I can destroy Spawn, I guess. And he's trying to destroy him, and it's like, there's a million of these other Spawns. This should take 2 seconds to kill this guy. He lands, he's like, I'm Spawn. Yeah, so are the rest of these millions of people. Fucking kill him. Boom, he's gone. And yet somehow it's like they can't get this guy. And even this giant devil, it should just be like, raw. And that's it. End of Spawn.
It's making a David Goyer script look competent.
I'm kind of shocked he didn't write it.
I honestly, it's funny because I could see certain stupid things in it and be like, man, that would have his fingerprints all over.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised.
Maybe he ghost wrote it. But yeah, actually, the more research I did on
David Goyer? Who's that? I've never heard of him.
The more research I was doing on David Goyer while I was writing that sketch, I'm kind of like, yeah, he's not sounding too good here.
Oh, you mean it annoys you how he thinks he's way better than his audience? But doesn't have the talent to back it up?
Oh, and I started looking up the times, like, he made fun of his audience and stuff, and I'm like, dude.
How many of you are virgins? I'm like, wow. Just wow.
You're acting like you're cooler than your audience, and you're really not. In fact, when you do that, you become so less cool. And
yes, because that means even the people that you are like trying to claim are lower than you think less of you.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, that's a vicious circle.
So I don't know, maybe because I've seen some interviews too, and he seems pretentious, but he seems, you know, nice or fine, whatever and stuff. But then, like, I read all this other stuff, I'm like,
don't care. If he had any talent,
yeah, and there's just no talent.
That's the thing. I don't care if he's a jackass. Like, most celebrities are jackasses. We're fucking jackasses.
We're such jackasses.
I also think we're talentless. So I have no illusions about that. But he just doesn't have any talent. That's what bothers me. I'm like, he could be a jackass all he wants. I'm like, well, if you write me a good superhero movie, I'll forgive you. And Blade's about as close as we got.
Yeah, which even then, looking at
it... And everybody's like, Dark Knight! I'm like, yeah, third string co-writer, whatever. Like, it's much like Dark City. I think he's just hired to dumb it up. Because Nolan's too smart.
No, that's what I'm realizing, too, is that, like, with Blade, watching it again, even though I really liked it, it's all in.
By the way, just say this is also a Blade Real Thoughts.
Yeah, sorry. Just going off on Davis Goyer.
Well, we'll just say that this is a combination Blade and Spawn.
And the last thing I'll say about it,
they're kind of related. African American hero,
dark,
supernatural.
Yeah, very, very.
Both do kind of have issues. One is obviously way better. One was the like apology for the other one.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But I know what you're saying.
But watching it, you can tell like this isn't actually like the story's actually okay. The
story's just paint by numbers. Yeah, there's no surprises.
But the actual writing, I'm like, these are not good lines.
Actually, the only surprise is that anybody would want to sleep with Steven Dorff. When Blade's mom's like, oh yeah, I'm like, ah. But apart from that, no surprises.
Yeah, even that story. Yeah, the story's not very good. It's just sort of the initial setup.
It's at best paint by numbers. And the funny thing is the writing. I'm like, if you take those lines out of context and hand them to lesser actors, hand that line to Hayden Christensen in George Lucas directing, And we'd be laughing and saying this is one of the most worst written films ever. It is the directing and Wesley fucking Snipes that really makes that movie. It's
all
not,
the actors,
it's not
honestly,
David Goyer.
All the actors, to their credit, do really good.
Yeah, there was...
Like I said, you're like, Stephen Dorff, but for what he had to do, I thought he did great.
It's not, you know what it is, it's the writing. See, I could just blame David Goyer. I don't like the character's just not... you could have gotten anybody to play that character, and so long as the lines and attitude are what they were, it's just this punk, like... I guess he really wouldn't be millennial, because at that point, what we would call a millennial now, like a hipster, goth hipster vampire with face.
No, come on, that's how you do it.
No, I swear, there's one scene where he where Blade stabs him, and he like the blood or whatever, because he's blood gun now, and he like holds onto the sword, and he literally does it. It's his whole fucking performance.
But I love it. But we're talking about Spawn.
And how did he take over? Like, literally, all of those vampires are sitting there at the fucking table.
We are talking about
Do they not have a security detail? The vampire leaders, and this punk walks in with a dozen or so of his Hot Topic friends, and they're just like, well, I guess we surrender. The fuck is up with that?
Can we get back to the superior film, please? Spawn, clearly.
I thought we were talking about Captain America Civil War.
No, we haven't seen that yet, but it's... We'll just already say it's good, because everyone else is. But
I will reserve judgment till I see it.
No, okay, I know what to talk about. The last thing we talk about was Spawn, because I was tempted whether or not to bring this up. I was just like, because one of the reasons I saw this movie, because it was getting really panned, but I was like, oh, well, here's a good review, Roger Ebert. And somewhere down the line, he hit, like, even though I still love his stuff, but he hit, like, this mark or something where it's like, if it looked really good, he thought that earned a recommendation. And I guess at the time, he felt, to be fair, parts of this do look very good, but here's the weird thing. He loved how Hell looked. He thought, like, this was an inspiring, different...
Well, he loved The Haunting! The Jan de Bont version of The Haunting.
No, but even then, he said, look, this movie's crap, but it just looks unbelievable. The house looks so good.
Phantom Menace! 3.5 stars!
No, but a lot of critics did, too.
A visual feast for the senses.
No, but that's the thing, that he was being visually... If it looked visually good, it's like, that was enough. But he was really going into... You know how great Hell looked, and that is one of the lamest Hells that's ever been devised.
Ebert struck me as a little kid who is very impressed with new flashy toys. And I feel like CGI in particular, because he was one of the few critics that, well, some critics were like, this looks fake, and screw this, and he was one of the ones that he constantly, in a lot of reviews, was like, no, these are good, the effects are good, and he was defending George Lucas's vision in the Phantom Menace review, and
but
the
he would talk against
it
too. I mean, you remember.
Yeah, but I mean, he struck me, and I think the Blade review is a perfect demonstration of that. Of just like of just kind of falling in love with like the new toys, like
I think you mean Spawn.
What did I say?
You said Blade.
Oh, Blade. No,
Still Blade, man.
I forgot what his review of Blade.
Oh, he liked it. He thought it was
good. So I don't know. I just always got that impression, and it is something about him that kind of bugged me. Because there are times I'm like, there was no way this is like a 3.5 star movie. Like, if you want to give it 2 for the effects, go ahead. But that's the thing about critics that I have to remind people, because they're like, well, Ebert said this about this, or how can you guys say this about this and this and that? I'm like, all my job is to tell you what I thought of the movie myself. So, you know, once it's your job to go and figure out what a critic's biases or likes and dislikes are, and what turns them on and what turns them off. And it's your job to kind of put that together in your head and be like, oh, well, then again, he also said a bunch of things about this, and I don't like that, but he does. So I'm wondering if maybe, like, this movie isn't for me. And once I figured that out about Ebert, like, when I would get a review that he's, like, basically was saying in more or less words it's eye candy, I'd be like, alright, I'm not interested. And generally, I've seen a lot of those films, like, on TV or something years later. Generally, it was the right call. I'm like, now I think if he liked it, that's fine. But, like, that's on the audience to try to, like, or the readership to try to figure out, you know, what it is that we like and stuff. Because that's all we can tell you, is if we liked it or not. So, and if you're like, well, I disagree, fine. then figure out next time, like, well, would I agree with them or not, based on what they've said in the past. I'm not going to sit here and, like, I know there are some people who are just like, oh, I just kept sending letters to Ebert because this and that. I'm like,
don't do that. Like, dead now, so really don't do that.
No, but I mean, it's like...
We're almost out of battery here, so we should probably wrap up here.
Okay, but yeah, I'm just like, that's just wasting your time. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I'm going to change the movies I enjoy because of you. No, I'm gonna enjoy what the fuck I want.
Yeah, and same thing. If you, well, we've gone on and on. If you like something, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. You know, it's fun to get different points of view.
What do you think of that? I like it. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, great. Like it.
I'm gonna send a hit squad. What do you think I'm gonna say?
So, yeah, that's our thoughts on Spawn
and
Blade. Go see Blade.
Yeah,
skip Spawn. Still have fun.
You know what? YouTube the best scenes with John Leguizamo, and then go see Blade.
Yeah. And maybe him like busting in the ballroom doing some flips. But yeah, aside from that, you can pretty much skip it. So that's it. We'll talk to you later. Later.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to watch Spawn instead of Blade.
Line from Spawn.
You've been violated, girly man.
Okay, that's good.